So the 1 billion rand that was announced for relief efforts following the KZN and Eastern Cape floods has still not been accessed. This was revealed by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana during an update to Parliament's ad hoc joint committee on flood disaster relief. Treasury announced the release of the funds back in April, but 2 months later, there's still been no request for the money. Let's get you more on this now. Bring in the chairperson of this ad hoc joint committee, that's Jomo Nyambi, who joins us via our Vin link this morning. Jomo, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Part of what Enoch Godongwana also had to say is that Treasury can't be blamed for this because they can't go as far as to help people fill in forms in requesting this money. As an oversight committee yourself, who do you think should take responsibility for where we are?
Greetings to you, my brother, and the viewers at home. From our side, it was an unfortunate presentation. We felt that the sooner we have all the relevant stakeholders in one room so that they can be able to explain themselves, the better for the dire situation in KZN.
It's been 2 months now. When are you planning to have that meeting?
Before the end of business today, we're going to make sure that we confirm the time with all the relevant stakeholders because we're taken aback. We thought everything is in order, probably they will be getting the money. But when we're told that it's an issue of filling forms, forms not filled correct, and it's clear that there is a problem somewhere. But without having all the relevant stakeholders in one room, we are not going to be in a position to speak with certainty where the problem lies. But there is a problem somewhere. Absolutely.
That goes without saying. I guess the question then becomes, between now and when Treasury announced that this money would be made available, what work was the committee that you lead was doing in a context where essentially not much has happened?
You'll remember that immediately after the ad-hoc committee was formed, we developed a program that took us to KZN, and we had an opportunity to visit the areas and engage people on the ground, and we got a briefing from the Premier and the MEC in KZN and the respective affected municipalities. And we thought out of those briefings and what they presented to us, everything is stuck with Treasury. That is why we decided to have Treasury coming to present. But yesterday, when Treasury was taking us back to KZN, is then that we realized that it will be a merry-go-round that is not taking us anywhere to take it further than the discussion of yesterday. So it will be simple for us to have all of them, including the Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation, the Minister of COPTA, Minister of Human Settlement, Minister of Water and Sanitation, and of course all the affected provinces, so that we can be able to get to the bottom of it and assess the dire situation on the ground and have the money being made available to people of KZN, Eastern Cape and Northwest.
In other words, you're saying the different players, the different stakeholders here are pointing fingers at each other around why there's been a delay in this money reaching beneficiaries who, I'm sure you'll agree, desperately need it.
Definitely, that's for sure. They definitely need it. And the people on the ground, they are not interested in all these technicalities. They are just interested in getting the necessary assistance so that they can get out of that dire situation. So for us to have money stuck somewhere more than 2 months and still talking about to and fro is not something that it can be celebrated. It's something that we have to make sure that we make the relevant people that must account to account. And of course, we're not going to leave anything to chance in dealing with them, but we'll expose those that did not play their part as and when we have our facts correct.
What is really disheartening is that this is yet another instance of South Africans who are in desperate need being let down by the government that they elected into office. What consequence do you reckon needs to be once you find whoever's responsible for this? Because it's unthinkable that something that took up so much of even, the government's time and time in the media is still largely unresolved because of some gaps or lapses in communication, at least on the face of it.
The only good thing that is comforting us is that when we went to KZN, out of the reprioritization, we have a government that was hard at work and trying its level best in making sure with the little they have. But the outcry was to get the funding from national, and they gave us a clear undertaking and a clear presentation that all has been done according to book and has been sent. It's only for the National Treasury to avail the funds. And when we met the minister yesterday, and then we got a different story about the second part of getting the funding. But there's something that is happening. People are housed. Of course, there are serious challenges, and people are still stuck in those shelters provided by the provincial government out of the reprioritization process, and of course the different municipalities. But that is not enough, because over and above that, you still have to have land that will be available. There are some temporary structures being constructed. They have to get land that will be conducive for them, and once we have some disaster in future, we are not going to have those problems. So that is why the part of having the funding coming from national, it's an urgent matter to us.
That money is desperately needed. And if you ever have any doubts about that, we should just cast our memories back to what took place this week, where several residents marched to the Durban City Hall in eThekwini, essentially demanding to be taken out of the temporary structures that you refer to, because life there had become completely untenable. It's unsafe, it's unhygienic. We've heard accounts of people having sex in the presence of other children from other families within the same room. If this is the government working hard, then I think we've got a lot of problems on our hands, especially because there's R1 billion sitting somewhere that is yet to be released because logistical processes haven't been followed.
The provincial, I'm referring to the provincial government that is in the local government. It's working hard, but the situation is dire, of course. We were there, we were on the ground, we visited those areas, and that is why when we said it's urgent for the money to be made to be available, because in some instances in those shelters you have more than 40 learners, they have to have 1 or 2 showers. You just imagine, you don't imagine what is happening in the morning. We have to walk more than 5 kilometers to get to some areas where some houses were completely washed away. And when we're doing it just for one day, when we're walking that distance, we ask ourselves about those people that are not getting a water tanker in those areas that have got those challenges in terms of roads, and then we have got money that is stuck somewhere. That is why this thing of us, without even compromising the accounting framework, there are things that must change, a lesson that must come out of this process. And as an ad-hoc committee, we'll definitely play our part in making sure that we speed our process and making people that are supposed to do what they're supposed to be doing to deliver to our people.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, Jomo, so far the government has failed the people of KZN, at least those who desperately need this kind of assistance because of the calamity that they had to experience more than 2 months ago. What are your timelines? When are you as a committee hoping that this money will finally be dispatched so that it can reach the beneficiaries?
The sooner they sort their paperwork without compromising the accounting framework as explained to us, and today we'll be touching base with the Office of the Auditor General to understand some of these technicalities, because our part is to make oversight on the government, that is to do the delivery to the people on the ground. And in making that oversight, one thing for sure that is coming out clearly is that we're not impressed by what is coming out and what was presented to us yesterday. And that is why we were very clear even to the minister that it's like it's business as usual.
Yeah, not impressed is just one way of putting it. I'm sure there are stronger descriptives to be used. But thanks for your time. I appreciate your weighing in. Jomo Nyambi is the chairperson of the ad hoc joint committee on flood, disaster relief and recovery. Once again, Jomo, appreciate your time on the AM report.